What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yah Lah, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news and some other interesting things with a touch of what, Terrence?
Touch of rose-tinted nostalgia, man.
What? Rose-tinted nostalgia. Is it that?
Yeah. That's right. That's what I said.
Rose-tinted nostalgia. Because today's episode, we are going to be talking about something, about those interesting things, and news in a way, yes, but news from yesteryear.
Yeah, that's right. It's a continuation of what we did in the previous podcast, where we looked back at, we listened and reacted to our own episodes 1 and 2 of Yah Lah But podcast, right?
Yeah, and we're going to cover a few more episodes this time, just to take down a walk down nostalgia road. And I mean also kind of like reflect on how we now 340 episodes later sound and whether we can detect any change in the way we talk about shit or make fun of each other or have a discussion. Cool, man. Yeah,
cool.
Are you expecting anything in particular or not? Because we listened to episodes 1 and 2 the last episode. Well, what do you think is going to happen this time? And to clarify, neither Terrence or I have heard any of these clips. They were extracted by our teammate Tristan. So this is going to be the first time we're hearing it.
I hope by then we would already have been a little bit more confident sounding in our approach to everything. Because I think the first 2 episodes is very clear that we were still like feeling, finding our feet, so to speak.
Like first date, It was like people listening on a first date.
Yeah. Like how if you sit, have you ever had the experience of sitting next to someone on a first Tinder date or something? Like the next table. Yeah. No, not being in. That means you're listening in on the conversation in first Tinder date. It's always it's damn awkward and a lot of funny exchanges and things are being said. So that's what it felt like.
Because you never you already found your wife before Tinder.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so like I went on a lot of those Tinder dates.
So you were the awkward person that I was hearing. I was hearing in the next table.
So now one of my favorite things to do is to eavesdrop on like first dates beside me. Not fully but it's just fun to watch because I can totally relate. Relate.
I thought you said your fun thing is to go back and look at your old Tinder messages.
I mean, just download Tinder, Bumble, and just look at
No, your old messages to people and what you were chatting about with people
on the app lah. Yeah, so it means you have to download the app lah.
Oh yeah.
Terrence, I feel like I'm talking to my mom now.
No, I thought you still have it. I thought you still use it on your phone and all that.
No lah, please lah, walao. No.
It's okay. We can take that conversation offline.
Somewhere if you're listening to this by now, I'll probably be a married man.
That's right.
Okay, this is married Harish.
Cool.
But yes, cool.
Let's jump right into it. Starting
with highlights from Yah Lah But episode number 3. Here we go. Hello everybody, welcome to the next episode of Yah Lah But. And this is a podcast with me, Harish, and Terrence from Ministry of Funny, where we're going to be talking about stuff that's been on our mind the past week. And today, the first thing we're going to be talking about is
Michelle Chong
and our resident alien. Essentially, what happened was,
Wow, you can sense. I was really breaking out into my youthful confident self, really.
Right. The butt had such vigor. Yourself.
There's so much vigor in that butt, the way I delivered it, right?
No, it wasn't vigor. It was a first date kind of butt. Like,
Still?
Yeah, because you almost didn't want to let it breathe. You're like, but, let's, that whole thing, that whole intro, right, was like 20 seconds. Now our intro sometimes can be like 7 minutes.
We don't just let it breathe. We let it like drown in the oxygen.
Exactly. Until people listening are probably like, oh my God, guys, I want to listen to what Pritam Singh said in Parliament.
Yeah.
And you're
Get over yourselves.
The monsoon season in December.
Yeah.
No, but that is the direct consequence of like taking what we used to do on YouTube, which is where, okay, just keep the intro as short as possible so that if you want to show your on the street video and all, you just go straight into it. But podcast, the beautiful thing about podcast is like, it's really about letting things breathe, right? And I think back then we never talked much about ourselves, no.
Yeah, I think we were, like you said, coming off YouTube, you basically trained a certain way to think about content, that nobody wants to hear you talk about your day. Nobody wants to hear what's on your mind. Nobody wants to hear about how you're feeling now. Nobody wants a week by week update of how you're feeling about your wedding, that kind of thing, which is exactly everything we do. It's everything we do now. How's the weather outside? Oh, your place in Orchard. Your place in. You hear all these things and all, like that regular people talk about before they jump into the meat of that conversation.
Yeah. And I'm not so sure what changed. Maybe it's just us getting a bit more comfortable with like just this podcasting in general, and maybe listening to other podcasts as well. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So now let's go to the next one. I think now we can talk about spoilers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
If you're listening to this, instead of watching Avengers,
stop right now.
Yeah, stop right. Just go and watch Avengers. So, but the thing about Avengers felt like, okay, there's this whole, like the story, I thought was like, meh. There are a few cool moments that are cool and people love it. And that to me is like politicians these days. All you have to do is like what you said, like pet a dog, be nice to a dog, and then people might think, oh, this guy's savior for our earth, as opposed to really looking at the policies and what he believes and all. And it's so damn scary, man.
Okay, it's more than petting a dog. I mean, it's going to events, it's talking to, stakeholders.
It's all wayang lah.
It's not wayang, it's saving the lives.
Does he have a dog?
I don't know, actually. Good question. I would love to. What? Were we reviewing Avengers or something?
I think the title of that episode is Michelle Chong does an oopsie and why slurping in Japan might end forever. I think that was in relation to this video that Michelle Chong did as her alien character interviewing Shanmugam about Pofma.
Yes. I remember that.
And it wasn't an interview. It was a scripted interview because she played a character. And I think what I was saying then was just because Shanmugam is also known for being a lover of dogs, and he has 4 dogs. How many dogs does he have? 2.
I don't know, multiple.
Yeah, but one thing about listening to myself talk, I mean, I said before, like when I watch myself on video, it's fucking awkward. When I hear myself, even now, it's awkward. But it felt like I was talking a little less excitedly.
Back then versus now?
Or do I sound the same?
It sounds there's the same amount of fake enthusiasm lah, if you're asking me.
Fuck you lah, okay?
the same amount of false enthusiasm in trying to make a point lah. Yeah. That's how I felt about it lah.
False enthusiasm.
Yeah.
What a douchebag thing to say. But do I sound like that now?
Do you sound no? I think now maybe I think you're a bit more discerning as to when that false enthusiasm needs to come up. Like I think the false enthusiasm now you keep it mostly at the start when you're talking about your wedding and all that kind of stuff, like that's the false enthusiasm.
You said false enthusiasm thrice in the past 20 seconds. I didn't ask about that. I just said like, how much more authentic do I sound now?
No. Yeah, I think back then there was I'm making a very important point. I'm ranting about something now. Listen to me, that kind of thing. I think now you're much more like, okay, this is just my opinion, but that's what it is,
So you're saying I was more dogmatic then, lah? No, I think I think I'm having a lot more fun now on the podcast, as opposed to back then, because back then we used to record in the studio, right? So then it becomes a thing of like, okay, we just need to almost speed through it. We want to be efficient with our time. But I think I've grown to realize podcasts and podcast listening. There's also it's really listening to a conversation. But do you find that that for you as well?
Yeah. And for me it's always worth slowing down a little bit to take a bit of time to think about the topic as we talk about it, right? Yeah. So for me, it's not so much about delivering the punchline or the funniest bits in the most dramatic way, but it's about, okay, I've had some time to think about it, and here's what I think. So yeah, I mean, it might come across as like, I don't care, or I sound very disinterested, but I think as you get older, you realize like there's no harm in just saying, hey guys, give me a bit of time, I need to think about it, right? Nobody will say that you're stupid for doing that, or that you're not as smart as the loudest person in the room. There's nothing wrong with that. Just taking a time to think a little bit before you answer a question. Yeah.
But then,
Correct.
like, I think that's definitely true. I think yeah, as you get older, that also happens. But like that interview also happened. That was May 9th, 2019. For the topic itself, right? Has anything changed in your mind with regards to Pofma or Shanmugam or Michelle Chong?
Yeah, very. I think social media in general, very different world already in terms of how people consume content as well. So yeah, Michelle Chong, a YouTube video, all that sounds really like 2018, 2019, the kind of things that you see right? Compared to these days when politicians are basically running their own TikToks and creating content on their own already lah. So it's just a very, very different era. Very different era.
And also Pofma also feels old, man. Like for a while, remember Pofma was like, oh my god, how can we have Pofma? And now it feels like, okay, there's Pofma, but there's so much other things that is being discussed, which is good, I think. I don't know whether it was just because I didn't care as much before, but now it feels like even our own topics, there's a lot that deal with politics. I never thought when I was younger that I'll be someone who discusses politics. For a living lah.
Yeah, it's it's a big shock to me as well that how interested I myself and people around me have become with like politics and also lah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. We got one more clip from episode 3.
Yeah.
And here goes. And
I think maybe time has compressed for us because we're all still hungover from last night's crazy Liverpool and Barcelona match.
Oh, I thought you said hungover from the alcohol,
which was 4 beers.
Which was a segue into what the more fun stuff that I wanted to talk about. I mean, so typically every week we will try and tackle one issue that is a bit more like serious, and one is just goofy nonsense or
something that's been thinking
something you're thinking about. So it's funny, Terrence mentioned the word hungover from the game. When he said hungover, I immediately thought of the fucking worst decision ever last night to drink 4 pints of beers.
Yeah, and he's not kidding when he's got a hangover. Like, I rarely see you, like Harish, I rarely see you like really, I'm vomiting and want to puke. But he's been in the bathroom at least like 3 or 4 times this morning. And he took a power nap. Usually power naps only at like 5 p.m. onwards, but today he took it at 10 a.m.
That's right. So thank...
I think if I'm not wrong, that was after we had a drinking session with Rishi and some other people, right? Was it?
Yeah.
That's like the 4 beers. That's where we powered through like 4 beers each, and
we watched the Liverpool game or something.
Not together, but I think the Liverpool game was that night itself, the Champions League match, right?
So the thing that stuck out for me then was that you were actually nice.
In what sense?
You were kind of saying, I don't actually see Harish get drunk often or hungover, but today, he had to take a power nap. I could feel a drizzle of compassion and care. Whereas now you fucking weak lah. You weak lah, Harish.
No. I think what I was trying to say was that we that you really were having a hangover lah. I think that's what I was trying to say. Well, I wasn't trying to say that I sympathize, you so poor thing, that kind of thing. No. I was just trying to point out that you really were hungover. Don't mistake it for niceness.
No. It was way nicer. The old Terrence, the pre-pandemic Terrence had a smidgen of compassion.
Possibly because we were literally in the same room and everything, so I had to okay lah.
Oh, that's true.
You look and sound terrible, yeah. Whereas like over Zoom and all, it's harder lah, right?
Yeah. And I think you could tell that we were kind of still explaining the concept of the podcast to an audience. When I heard that, I was like, okay, we are performing almost.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, we are performing.
We're very aware.
Yeah, which at that point, I think it's something that we kind of had to do. But I think it's because of things like that people kind of message us saying, hey, don't be so unsure, man. Just do your thing. Just have a conversation.
Yeah, one serious thing, one goofy thing,
and one goofy thing.
a lot of short things. Yeah, correct.
One serious thing, one goofy thing.
Yeah,
cool. Okay,
cool.
So then
shall we look at episode 4 then?
Yes, episode 4. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Yah Lah
But,
where Terrence and I talk about stuff that's been on our minds the past week. But today we're going to try something different. Normally we speak like about one thing that is deep and thoughtful and one thing that is totally nonsensical. Today we're going to be talking about like 4 things, one of which is kind of deep. The other 3 are just somewhat nonsensical, somewhat lighthearted.
Maybe it's good to clarify that it's not because it's a slow news week, right? I mean, there are a lot of stuff happened this week. Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but Game of Thrones is like beyond saving already. Yeah. And then to talk
4 things. Wow, that's ambitious, man. Do you remember what those 4 things were?
I don't know, but I will find out in a bit. But I think the context was we were still kind of figuring out what is the format that works.
Yeah.
So the title of that episode was Peeping Tom Patrol at NUS Kicks Off and Why Bubble Tea Lovers Might Have Self-Esteem Issue. So there's Peeping Toms, Bubble Tea Lovers, Evil Genius who tried to use his ex-girlfriend's Instagram to get laid, and so on. Oh, and the unexpected item seen at the bottom of the ocean during the deepest sea dive ever done. Yeah. I think maybe, I don't know whether it was because we didn't find one that was deep enough, but I think we were exploring the format. Format.
And I think back then, I think what we, in terms of trying to decide on a topic, it was a much more open-ended issue for us, right? I think we spent time, we literally debate about what topic we should talk about. And then we'd have disagreements, and then if we can't find something to agree on, then that's where we have a situation like what we mentioned, 4 different things to talk about in the podcast, 4 smaller things, as opposed to deep diving to one particular topic, right?
Yeah.
I think since then it's become a lot more, we've become a lot more streamlined about how we select our topics, and we're much clearer about what kind of topics we want to talk about, right?
Yeah. And I mean, back then also the episodes were like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Whereas now
and once a week.
Yeah. Whereas now we're going to fucking talk, okay? You will go double speed, you skip forward and all that.
Yeah, we're going to spend 7 minutes talking about Harish's wedding prep. Take it or leave it. You go to any other podcast, they spend 7 minutes talking, selling you shit. We're spending 7 minutes talking about how Harish can't stand his relatives and things like that.
Hey. Got some relatives listening to this podcast, okay? Hello, Terrence. Don't anyhow stir shit. All right, to my
Can't
relatives.
stand certain relatives.
To most of my relatives, I love you all very much. But yeah, so I think one thing also in the episode description for this podcast, we never used to put the links to the articles. And I think that came about because a listener or 2 messaged us saying, oh, it would be helpful if you put the links in the description. And then we're like, oh shit, that's a good idea. We should have thought about that. But I think even the format and all that has evolved quite a bit, partly because we try to just take in whatever feedback we can get. Wow, that was interesting. But what about the intro? How do you feel that intro was?
I think maybe it sounded like we kind of like, okay, we're starting to get the groove of things, and let's just move forward with the intro. Wasn't not as self-conscious as before, I think.
You had a bit of a dragging out already,
A little bit, yeah.
But our sub-intro, now is like your thrice weekly podcast. Back then was like where Terrence and I talk about the things that have been on our mind the past week.
Yeah,
kind of fucking egotistical, self-centered thing. It's like we're making this because this has been on our minds. Okay, so you better listen to it. We're gonna dump it on your mind as well.
To be fair, that's how all commentary starts, right? You
Yeah,
need to
but you don't
feel.
say it
You
like
need to
that.
feel something. You need to feel something personally first before you
Exactly, you
start
need to
talking
feel
about
something personally.
it. Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, moving on to the next. So there was this one Japanese consultant who shared with the media there. So her consultancy firm deals with workplace relationships. So then she herself, her name is Moeko Ono. So she claims to have been fascinated with the hype around bubble tea. She studied, she looked into it, and she came up with two big reasons why people queue up or participate in the obsession that is bubble tea. So number one, people with little confidence in themselves buy bubble tea as they want to feel validated. So she's saying not everyone who buys bubble tea has low confidence, but for people who have low confidence, buying bubble tea might be a way to feel part of a community.
How do you feel about that?
Wow. I don't know. I would like to know how people feel about this, because I would never queue for something for food more than 10 minutes. So if I were to ask you,
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that was the if I remember correctly, the context of that was that there was some research that basically said people who had issues making friends socially and all that kind of things were more inclined to drink bubble tea, or vice versa, right? There was a what was the term for it? There was a relationship between those two statistics, right?
Oh, correlation.
Correlation, yes, correlation. Oh,
correlation,
yes, yeah. Correlation, but not necessarily causation, but correlation, yeah.
So yeah, it was an article. Correct, it was an article back in May. Yeah, but I mean, granted that highlight only had my voice, which is totally unlike me. I don't need to be speaking all the time, right, Terence?
You're being sarcastic, right? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Your point being.
My point. No real point. But it was just. I think. Bubble tea is debatable. Any thoughts on bubble tea since then?
I think the other trends have come forward, have bubbled up to the surface since then, right? Like coconut juice, for one. And definitely I see a lot of there is some attrition in the bubble tea space as well, right? Fewer, some like they're not expanding or growing as fast, or they're even closing several shops already, And generally people also maybe starting to eat and drink a little healthier. So like bubble tea isn't as big a thing as it was 3 years ago, that's for sure.
I think one big thing, like I've had more bubble tea than I've ever had in my life this year, only because for a limited run we did do those few episodes of our NFT focused podcast called NFT with Bubble Tea.
Wow.
Which is on hiatus now. But yeah, I remember there was I had 3 bubble teas over the span of 2 months, which is more than I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I think I used to have a lot more bubble tea like during the pandemic, when I would get it delivered to my place just to have something different. But now that we're back to normal, I don't drink bubble tea as much really. But yeah, it's so interesting that both NFTs and bubble teas have featured so much less in our psyche in the last few months, huh?
Exactly. Both NFTs and bubble teas. Cool. Yeah. Okay, on to the next clip. Anyway, anything else?
No, I think this is the point where we talk about. We want to introduce this segment where we talk about one shiok thing in the past week that we've encountered. It could be anything, an app or song or music or movie or something that just we feel like we want to share with our listeners as well.
Yeah, and if it's online or anything, you can, just go search it. We will add the links wherever we publicize this podcast.
Yeah.
So, Terence, since you brought it up, you want to go first?
Sure. I think the one shock thing this week I saw was a new music video by Singaporean artist Jasmine Soko.
Wow, this was the beginning of One Shook Thing, man.
Was that really the first time? That was really the first time?
I
thought
so,
we might just have been reiterating like what maybe we thought about doing or something in previous episodes.
But I literally just say that this is something we're introducing.
Is it?
New that we're introducing. Yeah. Oh. So it's the birth of the One Shook Thing, right?
One Shook Thing in episode 4.
Yeah, One Shook Thing, man.
Episode 4.
Yeah. Why do we bring it in? Why did we bring in One Shook Thing?
I know for a fact I had heard that segment on a podcast that both of us have listened to about how they share their one
cool thing, right?
Was it one cool thing?
I
thought
so,
it's the one I saw it on was Script Notes.
Yeah,
is that the one
cool
that you
thing,
saw?
right? I think it's one cool thing. Yeah. Script Notes, that's right.
Yeah. One cool thing.
Shout out to John August and Craig Mazin.
Correct. One cool thing from Script Notes. So we're like, hey, shit, we really found that enjoyable and like it's just a nice takeaway lah. And then that has become our One Shook Thing.
Yeah.
Actually, now we don't even explain what the fuck it is.
Yeah. We just sort of just like, what's your One Shook thing?
Yeah, what's your One Shook thing?
Oh yeah, so actually the interesting thing is that a lot more people than I ever imagined have found value in the One Shook things that we've recommended lah. Because I don't know, maybe because Harish has a tendency to dig into very dark corners of the internet as he's looking for things. I mean, for me, I generally try to look at a wider range of shows and things that I wouldn't normally. I would on a normal basis. I probably wouldn't look at, but maybe just for the sake of opening my mind to different experiences, I try to listen to.
You mean you consciously widen your consumption for One Shook Thing?
I think I have. Yeah, definitely.
Oh shit, that's cool.
Whether it's music or just trolling, just seeing what people are saying on the internet and then looking it up and all that, I have tried to be open-minded, a bit more open-minded to it. Not saying that I'm the most open-minded person in the world, but I think the One Shook Thing itself, just the quest to find something interesting or something new, has also driven me to check out things that I usually wouldn't check out. Yeah.
And unintentional coincidence, because if you're listening to this, just a few weeks prior, we launched our newsletter, which consolidates all the shook things from any given week of podcast.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. It's called Just Try Only. You can find the link in the show notes. But yeah, essentially because it was from feedback from our listeners saying, that One Shook Thing was cool. And then friends sending me stuff as, this could be a One Shook Thing, So yeah. Wow. Comes full circle, man.
Yeah, and now people like literally recommending their One Shook Things on our Reddit, and then we checking it out, and then recommending it to everyone else as a One Shook Thing. It's just this
it's
continual cycle.
One Shook Thing. It's One Shook big ass mother thing.
Yeah, One Shook Thing.
One Shook Thing. Cool. Okay, now the 5th and final episode.
Oh wow! This retrospective is we're looking at the first 5 episodes, but if people enjoy it, maybe we might even in the future even look at later episodes as well, like maybe episodes of that happened during very key events in Singapore as well, right?
Yeah, I mean the one big realization for us came about when we did the daily coverage of the politics in 2020. Which made us realize, maybe we don't need to talk about, pop culture stuff. Politics is interesting. People want to listen. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's right.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Let's see what is on Yah Lah But 5. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of Yah Lah
But,
which is a weekly podcast involving Terrence and I from Ministry of Funny, where we talk about the most important issues on our minds for the past week. Could be international, could be Singaporean, could be something within our office, but it's been on our minds for the past week.
And what is it?
Feels a bit more fluid. Feels a bit more fluid.
More fluid and can hear you trying to justify like what you're saying, like what's on our mind. That just sounds like such a douchey, selfish thing to say. But now we're like, we're talking about what's on our mind. Could be international, could be based in Singapore. So you're like trying to place it in a larger, more international context, rather than just whatever's on Harish's plate right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
maybe
Harish's and Terrence's plate lah.
Yeah.
We eat from the same fucking plate, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's about just being cognizant that, okay, if there is an audience for this building, we need to be a bit more responsible in what kind of how we select our topics and things like that as well, right?
True. Wow. But I mean, and instead of just saying like where we talk about it was really a weekly thing. So that started off as once a week. So if you're new to the podcast or joined us in our 3 times a week phase, this started off as once a week. Because we had no idea what the fuck was going to happen.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool. Okay, cool. So this Yah Lah But was about Yah Lah But episode 5, Tosh Chang cries over pink dot drama and say hello to an escort service for Singapore influencers.
Both topics I do remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So apparently not apparently, Tosh Chang, he cried on video about what? I can't remember, but
some old tweets of his that seemed homophobic and then didn't jive with the fact that he had been announced to be the next ambassador for Pink Dot. For Pink Dot, right?
Okay, so I'm going to play the introduction you gave, and let's see how you explained it back then.
This week that we're going to be talking about.
So the first serious thing we're going to be talking about is the whole Tosh Chang / Pink Dot controversy. So to give a brief summary, and correct me if I'm wrong, Terrence, Tosh Chang was unveiled as one of the 4 ambassadors for the Pink Dot 2019. And a few days after he was unveiled, there was someone by the name of Sarah Yip who posted screenshots of tweets that he had done back between 2010 and 2013 that were homophobic. Clearly. One thing I also noticed, I actually said, correct me if I'm wrong, Terrence. Now I don't even give you the chance.
Yeah.
Because with my multiple tabs, I don't need your help, man.
You're so confident that you have the story down to a pad. You don't need anyone else to step in and tell you. I think back then,
oh my
research
God.
for you is still very limited to maybe 1 or 2 open tabs. That's about it, right?
Fuck. I was like, since when do I talk like that? Okay, I want to cover it. Terrence, if you don't mind, could you just correct me and let me know where I fell short? Now I'm like, Terrence, okay, this is a timeline thing. Even just now, for some reason, when I stopped the first clip, I thought you were going to explain it. But then no, it was me.
Yeah. I mean, it's always... After a while, I just stop even like, oh, should I explain it? I don't even bother already because I know you need to get out of your system, and I don't blame you. You know, it's you know how actors are. Actors all have some. They need the validation.
Don't give me the shit.
No, I know. I mean, it's a difference in personalities as well. I think it's very clear to anyone who knows us. You're definitely extroverted. You know, you thrive off energy when you're around people, right? I think to me that's the biggest difference between extroverts and introverts, Whereas introverts, like I think myself, I don't get much energy from hanging out with groups of people, you know. In fact, I feel drained. I feel drained.
But even people you really click with.
Yeah. I mean, depends on what we're doing also, you know. But as in, I need a lot of just like alone time or just time with my family and all that to feel more energetic, Whereas I think for extroverts, they enjoy company of different people. They enjoy a lot of different thoughts and opinions and everything they exchange. So for someone in your position, it's much more important to you to really be able to articulate the facts about an issue and then to slay the context for people so that you're the most interesting person at the dinner table and everyone's got their attention on you, you know. Whereas for me, it's almost like I'm usually the one hearing someone else saying it. I just thought, okay, here's my thoughts about it, Yeah, I'm not really the one that initiates the big topic in the table, you know. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you think that I need to set? I mean, to a certain extent, it's true. I won't deny it. Yeah.
Thank you for the honesty.
I won't deny it. I mean, like even like one thing my fiance pointed out to me is when I'm with a group of like maybe quieter people at a table, right? I don't deal well with silences.
Yeah, you're very bad at it. You make it quite awkward for everyone, in fact.
Hey, hello. I'll consider myself a lubricant, okay?
No.
Don't give me this shit.
There's a difference between a lubricant and being the buzzing sound.
Hey, Terrence, I was honest and vulnerable, and you took the opportunity to just stick a knife into my wound.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but can you finish your thought about what your fiance was saying about you? Yeah.
No, because there was once when I was with her and another friend. I was good. My fiance is a lot more introverted than me, and I think that's why we can click lah. So once I went for coffee with her friend who is also as like equally introverted. So at the meal, there were a lot of silences and pauses lah. So I was like, okay, I guess I need to be the conversation.
Yeah.
And then after that, she told me like, just now you didn't have to talk all the time, no. I was like, oh, I mean, but you guys were quiet, so I thought I'll just be the lubricant. But in that time, looking back, I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, even personally between me and my fiance, to be honest, it took a while for me to get used to, in some sense, like being with someone who is the opposite of me lah. You know what I mean? Because naturally, like I think there are if two very talkative introvert people meet, it can be manic also. But if it's too introverted, I know for my fiance, that's why we click lah, because we kind of balance each other out.
And even in that kind of there are nuances to being a social lubricant as well lah, I think. For your kind of social lubricant is you'll bring up a topic and you will tell someone your opinion about it lah, you know. I think for me, I won't deny sometimes I also do I do enjoy talking to people in small groups right. But for me, a lot of times I'm trying to tease out an answer. I'm trying to tease out what the other person is thinking before I even say my piece lah, you know. So you understand that there's also different approaches to it lah, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I maybe I'll take back saying that I'm fully an introvert, because I think people who know me also will say, hey, but a lot of times when we're together, you also talk a lot and all that. But I'm actually more interested to hear what other people's opinions are about things before maybe even before I form even my own opinion about it lah, you know.
Yeah. I think over time also my understanding of introvert versus extrovert has also evolved lah. Like it's not as binary, because certain groups of people, I do, as surprising as it sounds, I do withdraw a bit and quieten down lah. I do, Terrence. I do. Trust me.
I will allow you to explain that nuance to people. It is.
And there are certain interesting things about those sort of groups that I've come to realize also, and that's what has made me a lot more conscious of like, okay, like depending on the social dynamics of a group, you can almost revert to a former self of you. Because I was a lot more quiet when I was younger. And then just like there's some groups have a lot of baggage, and I've become a lot more conscious of that lah. At the same time, there are certain groups of people or certain people I meet who I do find draining. But for people who I can click, that one, the long conversations all can go on forever. And I know it's the same for you, because I know you also can have long conversations, and with certain people you click, there's a certain energy that's there lah.
Yeah, and I think it also stems from understanding as well that I used to think that you know it's always, when you meet in groups of people, it's always that person who's speaking the most, who is saying the most interesting things, who's got a little interesting quip for everything that you say, you know, an interesting mic drop moment for everything you say. That person is the most interesting person at the table. Everyone loves him and all that lah. Then slowly over time you realize that you know, if you have a nagging or niggling feeling that this you know, there's something a bit off about this person, or don't really enjoy everything that he's saying, that kind of thing. If you are having that feeling, chances are someone else at the table is also having that feeling.
True.
More often than not, and you don't have to feel inadequate about your response to it or what. And a lot of times, these people who almost like fill all the space in the room. The most appropriate response, and probably the response that will get you the most respect, is to actually quietly push back on certain things that they say as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't have to be an asshole about it, but you can try to say, this is what I think about it, and maybe we don't agree on it. That's it, And I think a lot of times that actually buys you a lot more respect from everyone else in the room also, that you say your piece, that you don't have to engage in an argument to show who's the winner and all that. And that makes you a better conversationalist as well,
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's I mean, if you look at like what we've done, we have gone like super hard on podcasting, which is long form conversations. We have started Folklory, which is a startup in the business of conversations. So yeah, I think the whole conversational space is super fascinating. But yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, now on to the next clip. Remember that, like 1 or 2 years ago, there was someone who had access to our MOF Instagram profile who was liking all these pictures of girls in bikinis.
Oh yeah, I thought that was you.
Hey, no lah.
Oh,
that one is all on my personal Instagram.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, but the MOF Instagram, like when you click on the likes, you can see what the people you follow have liked.
Yeah.
So for us, it was just a string of scantily clad women.
Yeah.
And you had to go and unlike those pictures.
Yeah. Oh, you had to go through the tough job of unliking a lot of bikini shots.
Yeah, because I mean. What?
Wow.
But I mean, there was a true thing that happened. We had our MOF Instagram, and we found out that our account was just liking a lot of sultry pics.
A lot of thirst traps, so to speak.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah,
so I mean, that was a true thing, but and I mean, we sorted it out. We sorted it out. That was how many years ago, yeah?
I don't know, man. But that's the thing. Like even now, when I'm checking Yah Lah But's TikTok account and all that, I'm very conscious that everything you're doing with the account is being tracked by these algorithms and all. So it's like, I think if you open our Yah Lah But TikTok now, generally you get fed. I think you will get fed a lot of dance videos. I watch a lot of
is it
dances. Yeah, and not of Blackpink or young girls dancing on it, but like all this random like old dudes like dad boards and all that, like doing funny dances on the road. I just find them funny. Like for some reason, I just find it funny when a Filipino dad suddenly like breaks out into a dance with his buddies in the middle of the street. And then the algorithm just feeds me that shit. And I'm like, oh shit, if anybody like Tristan or whoever opens up our TikTok and sees all these videos, he's probably like, what the hell are Harsh and Terrence watching?
What? Then why don't you just watch it on your personal account?
I don't have a personal account, dude.
You don't have a personal TikTok account even for watching stuff?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Terrence.
That's how like afraid of the algorithms and how afraid of social media I am, of the effect it can have on you.
Terrence, there's a conflict of interest. There's a severe conflict of interest.
What? That I'm using the Yah Lah But account to watch Filipino men dancing.
Yeah. Oh wait, there's one Filipino group of men, like 6 men, like a family group or something. Is that the one?
I think so.
One of them has a mullet or something, right? Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. But they're very muscular, quite bulky dudes and all that, right?
Oh no. Mine is like some older folk.
Yeah. But they're muscular, They're not. No. Is
not
it that
muscular.
No?
It's like there's a whole range. They're like in their 40s, 50s, and got some younger people. It's like a family.
Older, older people. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think it's that one. Yeah, I believe it is.
I mean, funny, now we have so many MOF Yah Lah But accounts. Like holy shit, man! Like I'm also losing track. And I do have personal accounts, even though I don't post anything on my own personal TikTok,
But yeah. No, I mean it's it's sort of the same problem that we were facing years ago. We're still facing it today, right?
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, after listening to the clips from Yah Lah But episodes 1 to 5, any overall epiphanies or thoughts or reflections?
I think for me it's be unapologetically yourself, right?
Be unapologetically yourself.
Yeah, I think you could sense a lot of like we were so like, oh, sorry that we're foisting this onto you, this sad excuse of a podcast onto you, but yeah, this is why we're doing it. I feel like you want to do it, just do it. Don't think so much about it. Don't worry so much about what people think about it, right? That's for me, that's something I've realized. What about you?
I think for me, the takeaway is that anytime you want to try something, it is really better to just put an imperfect version out there and be willing to change it. I think, you can apply it to content. What you people who wanted to start YouTube like last time, and even now podcast, anyone who wants to start something, the same thing that I always tell them is like, okay, one big realization for us is that if you're starting something, if it's bad, chances are no one will see it. Like if we start a podcast and it's shit, right? It's not like TV. You appear on TV, wow, it's immediately going to be like X number of viewers. If you start a podcast, it's shit, no one listens to it. What's the downside, right? But if people do like it, then it can grow. So I think listening to this podcast early on, I think certain things has stuck with us, even the way we do things, like with regards to starting our Folklory or starting even our newsletter, right? Like between the two of us, we're like, okay, let's just get a first version out there, because people will give us feedback if we are willing to be humble and self-aware, and that's how Yah Lah But has grown. And hopefully whatever we try to do, it will take that same approach.
Yeah. And like people have learned to love this style of podcast we're doing, and they spent 22,000 minutes in the past year listening to us, man. Including those episodes that we just talked about as well.
22,000.
Yeah.
Holy
crazy,
shit. Right? 22,000 to those people who have listened to us. And yeah, I mean, we did this at the end of the year, partly also to do some reflection. But yeah, just a huge shout out to everyone who's been listening to us all this while. Or even if you've just listened, this is the first episode or first 5 episodes. Yeah, thanks so much, man. Thanks so much.
Thanks for taking this trip down the wormhole with us to listen to the time capsules of our own old podcast, right?
Yeah, man. And
cool.
Yeah, thanks so much for listening, and we'll be back very soon.